Great. Well, Felipe, thank you very much for joining us in this initiative, for getting to know you and getting to have additional information on job interviews and interview recommendations for people. I would like to start introducing to you to the audience. This is Felipe Goncalves. He's the country manager for PayU in Brazil. PayU is the online service provider for digital payments, and you also have a presence in different markets such as Latin America, Middle East, Asia, Central and Eastern Europe. And well, thank you very much for joining us, Felipe. So, if in a way we can start. Can you tell us a little bit about your professional experience? What have you been doing and what you're currently doing?
Sure, man. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to talk to you about these issues. I think they are very important nowadays. So, well, I'm Felipe Goncalves. I have been working on the financial industry for now, I think 12 years. I started my career at the high old school industries, as I like to say, heavy industries, doing corporate finance, internal audit, financial planning in companies like IBM, EBX, mining, entertainment, and oil and gas companies. Then in 2015, it was a time to have a shift to the online space. After working so many times in old-fashioned companies, I would say. Then I started to work with digital payments at B2W, which is a major e-commerce and marketplace in Brazil, one of the biggest in Latin America. So then it was my first contact with both the online space and also the payments space. And it was a very interesting experience because I could feel all the pain points on the merchant side, on the retailer. And then after 2.5 years working there, I had interacted with several stakeholders in the fintech space here in Brazil. Then I received an invitation to join Adyen, which is a Dutch online payments processor that has been also super successful in the European and US markets. I spent there 2 years on the commercial area, taking care of some of the biggest accounts here in Latin America. And then in the past year, I have received the invite to join PayU, which is Nasper's fintech and payments arm, and take care of the Brazilian operation. So basically, right now, I'm running a team of 60 people here in Brazil. Some of the team's commercial focus in order to expand the number of clients and the business reach, not only here in Brazil, but also in other countries of the region. And we also have strategic, finance, and legal / operational teams, making sure that the platform works well, and then we resolve all the tech-related issues that we have with our clients.
Okay.
So that's basically my...
Good. Thank you. That was going to be my next question. What kind of positions do you have over there at PayU over there in Brazil?
Okay, so PayU, we have a lot of regional hubs, let's put like this, like a shared center structure. So for Latin America, a lot of corporate processes and management positions stay on our hub for LATAM, which is Colombia, Bogota. So in Brazil, we have, under my management, more commercial people. So we have a big team of hunting and farming. So basically hunting are more aggressive professionals, more proactive, who goes into the market and do client-face meetings and try to close new contracts and new deals for the company. And we also have a farming profile, also a big team who is responsible for the post-sale services. So once a client starts processing payments in our platform, we have this team that is more dedicated to customer care, to solve all their pain points and help them optimize their payments operations through consultancy in payments and how they can extract the value in our platform in the best way. So these are more the commercial roles. We also have a strategy / product team. So basically what this team does, they are pretty much focused on market trends and product development. And basically the biggest capabilities that we look in this team is some tech-driven and data-driven guys who are able also to think strategically. So they have to know how to lead product development inside the company to make sure that we timely deliver the features and innovation that the market demands, but they also have to have a strategic view of the market to know how to prioritize the current roadmap. What projects are now more impactful for the company and which ones can be going back to the line because they are not that strategic right now.
Okay.
Uh,
Awesome.
and lately, we also have some operational vacancies and roles that is basically the customer service. We have some open channels for end customers and for our B2B clients to look for help whenever they need or they have issues in their payments in the platform. We also have risk management inside the operational structure that is basically a very productive and operational team that goes transaction by transaction, making sure that our operation is healthy and timely. So what does that mean? Means that the team has to be aware of fraud management, trying to block the fraudsters in the internet and doing a good mix of automatic and manual reviews of the transactions. And at the same time, they are responsible for making all the SLAs that we agree with our customers are met in terms of operations. Okay. So basically, these are the three big classes of professionals that we have in Brazil.
Okay, awesome, good. Thank you very much. Now, Felipe, excluding the technical skills, and of course, depending on the positions, we are aware that sometimes the skills tend to differ. If we divide positions for management roles and non-management roles, what are the soft skills that you look in management roles and in non-management roles?
Okay, so I will start with the non-management roles. So for non-management roles, what I look is basically proactiveness, humbleness, willingness to learn all the time. So I usually don't like the kind of professionals that they want to do just the by the book and strict activities, and they go like from 9 to 6, just looking at their clock to end the day. Yeah. So for me, it doesn't matter in non-management roles. It doesn't matter the technical knowledge that they have, the years of experience. It's much more about if they are bought within the company mission and whether they are really proactive and flexible enough to adapt to different circumstances. So I would say that for me, they're having the right attitude, believe in the company's mission to be bought within, because it makes all the difference on the daily basis. And third, if they're flexible, because if they're not capable of adapting their activities to different customer needs or different situations that we face, because this marketing is changing all the time, the priorities are changing all the time. If they are not happy and willing to do so and reinvent themselves, then I most probably won't be happy with their performance. So I like these kind of professionals that are really keen to learn all the time and have the attitude to solve problems. And now going to the management roles, I think that all of these also applies to the management roles, because I also myself, I try not to be too far from the operations. I like to be on the ground, understanding everything that is happening on the minimal details of operations, not on a micromanagement point of view, but like really understand in depth how the business is going. Because for me, if you don't know that, you lose control. So I expect the managers to have the same holistic approach and be very hands-on, trying to really understand on a deep dive manner what is happening to the business, what is the root causes of the problems, what can be done in a very low level of details to optimize the business. So I don't like people on the management side who are very short arm and who thinks that they can only delegate. So I like on the management side, people who have this humbleness and this willingness to be a partner of their team, rather than a boss who is always taking orders and delegating. So this is one important thing on the management role, but also a very big thing that I like to look for in candidates is the capability of looking at things strategically on the long term. So I don't like a lot to hire management people who doesn't have this strategic mindset to think like always 2 houses ahead of what's happening now. Because for me, like managing business is all about long-term results, long-term sustainability. And I don't like people who are just focused on solving that specific problem and not looking into how it will affect other people, other teams, other processes. So I really like once I have a manager who tackles a problem by extrapolating all the possible situations, all the possible risks and pros and cons. So whenever I do like interviews with management roles, I try to do this exercise with them to check if they have this capability of looking at a problem in a more holistic and strategic view.
Okay, good, awesome. Now, Felipe, based on your experience, what are the common mistakes that you've seen people do or the candidates do during a job interview?
Yeah, so I think I can name two that are very recurring, at least on my experience. One is when the candidate, they want to impress you, and they start to convince you that he knows about the subject he doesn't dominate. So he's trying to sell themselves excessively, I would say, and they don't have the humbleness to face a question that they don't know. So they try to explain and give you an answer, the right answer, like it existed. So they start to, you can see like clearly when he's starting to make up things or inventing experiences. So I think one common mistake is not saying that they don't know a specific team, and it's okay not to know. So sometimes we expect them to, we test them and we expect them to say to Felipe, I don't know this, but I'm eager to learn. Or Felipe, how I don't have experience in this field, how would you manage that? Sometimes I test them just to see if they will have this approach and not take the assumption that they know everything. But a lot of the cases, the candidate, they don't know and they try to come up with an answer with no fundament. So this is a common mistake. And I think a second mistake is also not to be 100% aware of the vacancy that they are applying for. Because sometimes they study the company, they study your profile, your past experience, but they don't have an idea of what the role is about to deliver, or what is my expectation or the company's expectations to have that role. Because on the majority of the times you are hiring someone for a certain role to solve a problem that you have currently. So sometimes they see a nice title on the role and they assume, okay, this role will do, I don't know, accounts payable. They see like payments manager and they assume, oh, it's accounts payable. That's what I'm going to do. And they don't take time to know, no, it's online payments. It's totally different from that. It's managing the digital processing of an e-commerce. So I think this is a very common mistake. So sometimes they instead of asking and clarifying if they're understanding correct, and so the conversation would flow normally, they start already saying to you why they are applying to that role, and they have a complete misunderstanding of what they are applying for. And when they do this, they became very discreditable, I would say, for following in the recruitment process.
Okay, good. With that being said, Felipe, do you have an anecdote, or do you have a negative experience that you came across when interviewing a candidate? For example, those things, that the candidate was not prepared or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I have a few, but let me give you one that happened recently. We were trying to we were trying to find a high velocity sales manager. It's an internal acronym, let's say, for a global business developer, someone who can tackles deals and manage clients on a global level. And we say high velocity manager because they have to do deals and bring clients who can scale their business with us globally on a high velocity basis, which means, let's say I'm going to close a deal with Netflix or a company like that. And at once they will start processing with PayU in 6 or 7 countries, you know. So this is what we consider high velocity merchant. And that was exactly the case. The candidate saw this title, came to the interview, and he never asked what is high velocity manager. He just assumed that high velocity manager would be someone who could do things very fast, you know. And then he was like, no, but I'm worried. What would be my SLAs to answer an email? What would be my SLAs to deliver a deal? Do I have to close a deal within 30 days? And no, man, you could only start the interview by asking what exactly is the scope of the role, or you could have asked the HR manager before the interview what is exactly this title related to. So he already came into the interview completely unprepared and thinking that it was like a Chinese dictatorial approach, like they have to do things very, very, very fast, a high velocity manager. So this was a very funny case.
Very good, very good. You know, Felipe, in one of these one-on-ones that I've been doing with the leaders from different business, one of the values that one of these leaders told us is that he looks the value of social responsibility in candidates. Do you have anything in particular? Do you have a value or a skill that you look in particular with all of the candidates?
Yeah. Yeah, not social responsibility in this case, but it was a good example to think for the next ones. But to be honest, for me, it's all about being humble and being honest. Like if I start talking with a person in the interview, and then I feel that this person is not humble enough, or this person is not ethical enough, by saying not ethical, you can. It seems that it's hard, but sometimes when the person is talking about their past experience, sometimes it's very easy to understand how they use an example to show that they were unethical with a supplier or with a teammate in the previous jobs. And also, if they are not humble, for me, that is key. If they come to the interview and say that they are the best in the world and you have to hire them because they are a huge talent, I don't like this approach, because I don't see in my past experience how these kind of people will generate value to the whole team. So doesn't matter who you are, you can be like the best academic person in the world. You can have worked in the best companies in the world. If you don't come to work with a new team with humbleness, like starting from day one, like you are the new guy, and like you have to share and learn with your colleagues. If you come to the interview like very snobbish, you won't get approved by me if you don't show honesty or humbleness. So these are the two most important values for me. And apart from that, I think everything you can learn, everything you can be coached, everything can be developed. But these two values for me are fundamental.
Okay, good. And now that you're mentioning that, you know, do you what is more important to you, the years of experience, or, you know, their attitude, the willingness to work and learn?
Yeah, for sure the second one. For sure the attitude. For me, it's all about attitude. That's the way. It could be a little selfish, but that's the way I try to thrive in my career. That's the way I see other colleagues that I admire having success and being admired by other people. So for me, it's all about attitude. Doesn't matter how many years of experience that you have on this field, on the other field, but if you are willing to learn and to contribute. There's nothing on this earth that you cannot learn. So of course that for certain more senior roles, you have, like, naturally you have to have a little bit of experience, but not on a technical matter, but more on your maturity and seniority to deal with problems, to deal with pressure. But this is just a minor detail. For me, it's all about attitude.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now, Felipe, excluding the technical questions, could you give us one or two example of the questions that you would typically ask to a candidate?
Yeah. Okay, let me see. One is I always ask about their family, how they, what they like to do in the leisure hours, or what is their family structure. And it's not to judge anything, but I would really like to try to know the person before, because as I said, some of these values are important for me. So I always ask about the personal stuff, and as long as they are willing to share, of course, not mandatory. But these are things that for me, sometimes these answers, they define between like the number one and the number two candidate, if they are on the same level. So I like to hire the person, not only the professional, and to believe in that person. So this is a very recurrent question. And the second one, I ask why they have, what is the logic that they are applying for this role? Why they are not willing to stay at their current job, or what has driven his career decision so far. And to me, when I ask these questions, I try to understand if this move makes sense. This position will really add value to him, at the same time that it will generate value to the company. Because in these kind of questions, if sometimes the candidate doesn't give a reasonable explanation or a reasonable reason why they are changing jobs, or why they have changed company X for company Y, it's clear to me that they are applying for that job just for the money, or they really are not that eager to join that specific role. But if they come with a strong argument and convincing argument, they know I really studied this role and I really want that role that you are interviewing me for, then they have a very good chance of being approved.
I totally agree with you. I think that with this being said, a good recommendation to all of those people is also to get an insight, to do the research on the company's values. You know, what are the initiatives, if they have like a diversity and inclusion initiative, or recognition to be a great place to work. Any additional value that they can find on the internet, that's good information for those questions that you're mentioning. That way they can give you a more specific question. And also, I think, in my point of view, it gives me it gives me the fact that the candidate did the research, and that the candidate is interested in the position.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally agree
sure.
with you. Yeah. So Felipe, what questions do you recommend that a candidate ask to a hiring leader?
Yeah, that's a good one that I learned from my experience as well as a candidate. And I think that it can see like a jargon, but it's like definitely the truth. I think that you have to be in a position, of course, not in a snobbish way, where when you are applying for a job, it has to be the perfect match between your needs and the company needs. So you have to ask the hiring leader everything that is concerning you and that is driving your decision, whether to join that company or not. So don't be shy about asking questions. Normally the hiring leaders like this because shows interest in the company, and also show that you are not like a doll or a slave of the company, right? That you have to choose the company as well, not only the company chooses you. So do ask questions. Ask questions like, how is the company evolving? What are the main goals for this year? what is the problem that I'm going to help solve when I join the company, what is the churn of the company, the average retention years of an employee, what are the as you said, well said, the initiatives that your company does to help the society. So I think that all these questions, the maximum of information you can extract from the leader before you join the company will be really helpful in predicting if you're going to be happy or not in that new job. So my tip would be, don't be shy or afraid of the impact of a specific question. Just ask whatever your heart is asking you to ask.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that one of the values that a lot of companies, especially tech companies, is curiosity, which is actually what you're saying. You know, ask. Don't be afraid of asking. You know, be curious, yeah, and that shows interest. You know, interest on the position. So curiosity, it's very welcome in a lot of nowadays. It's a new skill or a new value that is very
Yes.
it's very welcome in
Yeah.
many companies. Good. And well, lastly, Felipe, what are do you have any advice, any recommendations for people that are going to go to a job interview?
Yeah, I think that goes like, don't try to lie or invent things that you don't know. Recapping, go with an open heart and have like a real conversation with the hiring manager or the people who are interviewing you. From my experience, the best interviews that I did was when I opened my heart and I had a talk from person to person, like without any hierarchy or any power unbalance from one side to the other. Just talk, of course, with the formalities that you want, but just talk like you are a normal person and try to balance the interview between what you can offer to that company in that position and what the company has to offer to you. And of course, if it's a match, then you are both in good shape to move forward with the partnership. But if not, then one of the parts will take the negative decision in following on. But most important part is be honest, be open-hearted, and ask. Be you, be yourself. Don't try to invent, and don't be afraid of being yourself, because that will maximize the chances of you being approved on that role.
Okay, good, awesome. Well, Felipe, that's it. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate for making yourself available for this conversation, and I wish you all of the best success over there for PayU over there in Brazil. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Enrique. It was a pleasure, man.
Well,
Bye bye.
see you. Goodbye.